Oh my God. So much flavor. Wow. This is so good. Hello Sugar Geeks, Liz here, and today I'm gonna be showing you how to make authentic caramel apples. I've got a lot of fun tips and tricks for making those beautiful glossy apples of goodness. It's all coming up next on the Sugar Geek Show. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is prep our apples. Apples have a waxy coating on them, whether they're straight off the tree or you get them out of the grocery store. It just has this stuff on them that caramel does not like to stick to. So the number one tip that I have for you to make sure that caramel does not slide down the apples is to make sure you wash them good and well. And I mean scrub them, like really get that wax off there. We're gonna wash these in really, really hot water. Generally, your water is probably not that hot, so you wanna actually use water that's almost to the point of boiling. Don't burn your hands though, okay? Be careful. Then you're gonna dry them really well and stick them into the refrigerator, because tip number 2, caramel likes a cold apple. If your apples are cold, as soon as you dip them into the caramel, they will stick way better. So now that our apples are washed and dried and nice and cold, we're going to stab them. I'm removing the stems from the apples. We're actually gonna do some Red Delicious and some Granny Smiths because I had some on hand, but you could use any kind of apple. Granny Smiths are gonna taste really good because they're a very tart apple that withstands heat really well, and they're not super juicy. So that's gonna like pair with the really sweet caramel actually quite well. This is a wooden skewer that is made especially for dipping caramel apples. It's thicker, it's like more like a dowel, and they're nice and strong, right? So you stick your apple onto the table straight up and down, and then you take your skewer and push straight down. Now, you always want to do this flat on the table, because if I were to hold it like this and just go straight in, then, oh, that's not straight. So put it on the table first, then straight down. Okay, apples are ready. I'm gonna stick these back into the fridge to literally and figuratively chill until our caramel is ready. Bye. Oh, heavy. Well, let's talk about our tools really quick, you guys. Probably the most important thing that you could have in this whole setup is the thermometer. Can you do this without a thermometer? Yes, but why would you do that to yourself? It's gonna be so hard to guesstimate when you're at that proper temperature and it goes from like not cooked enough to burned so quickly. Just get yourself a thermometer. This one's a candy thermometer. It just hooks right into the pot and it'll tell you exactly what temperature you're at, so you have no problems knowing how hot your caramel is. Second most important thing to have is a nice heavy duty pot. This is actually a saucepan and it has these curved edges that work so well for dipping apples because it's not flat, right? So this works super well if you can find this. I actually got this at Home Goods for like $12. So you don't have to drop a lot of money, but you want something that has like a really thick, heavy base. You see that? So that's gonna distribute the heat evenly so that your caramel doesn't burn. It also holds the heat into the pot for longer, so your caramel stays nice and liquidy for longer. You also wanna have a lid. We're gonna put all of our ingredients into this pot, put the lid on top, and this is gonna cause condensation to wash down the sides of the pot so that we don't ever have any crystallization. If you don't have a pot, or if you just wanna be extra cautious, you can take a brand new, super clean pastry brush and some water and brush down the edges to make sure all of your granules of sugar reach the inside of the mixture, because any unmelted pieces of sugar can cause crystallization, although we do have corn syrup in here, which is gonna help prevent that crystallization. You don't wanna go through all of this work though and have it all like crystallized, so take as many precautions as you can. All right, you guys, adding these ingredients could not be simpler. We're gonna add in brown sugar because we want that extra delicious flavor. You could use white sugar if you don't have brown sugar though, and cream. Here's that corn syrup I was talking about. If you didn't want to use corn syrup, you could use honey, you could use agave, maple syrup, glucose. Just to keep in mind, some of those things will add a flavor. Butter, unsalted, and then some salt, go figure. And we're gonna turn that onto medium-high. Just give it a quick mix, make sure everything's mixed. And then we're not gonna mix it at all, believe it or not. Don't add your vanilla until after your caramel is done heating up. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and bring this to a boil, which is just about there. And then I'm gonna let it continue to simmer for 5 minutes so that condensation gathers on the lid and washes down the sides for me. So it smells good. Woo, baby. I'm gonna wash down the edges just to make double sure. You can see some granules in there, so I'm gonna go ahead and put my thermometer on, and we want to cook this to 240 to 245. I'm still not stirring. This can take up to 30 minutes, so if you're like, oh, it's not reaching the right temperature, just keep cooking. Be patient. You'll notice that there's steam rising off of the caramel right now. That will stay that way between 225 and 230 for a while, and that is just all of the liquid that is in the cream boiling out. And it will not get any higher than 235 until all of that liquid is out, but then it'll immediately get to 240. So you definitely have to keep an eye on it. Don't walk away, don't do the dishes, just hang out, trust me. Okay, so let's say that you don't have this beautiful curvy pot to dip your apples in. You can actually take this out of this pot and put it into a heat-proof bowl, like a Pyrex bowl or a Pyrex measuring cup, and you can dip your apples into that, but it's a little bit trickier, so if you can keep it in the pot, it's gonna be a lot easier. We're getting close. I've got all my apples out and ready to go. I've got my toppings off to the side. I've got my Silpat here, because once you reach that temperature, you don't wanna be like rushing around. If you don't have a silicone mat, you can also use parchment paper that's been lightly greased, or even aluminum foil that's been lightly greased. Oh, and I'm gonna put on gloves just so I don't drip any caramel on my hands. And I've got my vanilla. Don't forget to add that. All right, 240. I'm gonna turn off the temp here. Take out my thermometer. Don't drip on your feet. Go ahead and take your pan off of the heat and transfer it to a little trivet. And then we're gonna let the bubbles simmer down a little bit. So the third tip for successful caramel apples is to let it cool down. We do not want to dip right now. All of that caramel will just run right off your apple. So we're going to let this caramel cool to 200 to 190 degrees Fahrenheit. Right now we are at 228, 230. So it's going to take probably about 10 minutes or so for this to cool down. So now we're going to add in our vanilla. Mix that in. All right, we're between 190 and 200, so we're ready to dip. I'm gonna tilt this down and rotate around. Look how pretty she is, you guys. Oh, love it. Do a little scrape and right onto the Silpat. She's pretty. Jiggle, jiggle, jiggle. Tip number 4 to getting perfect caramel apples. Shake off the excess. Shake, shake, shake. And a little scrape. Boop. Pretty. So after your caramel has set for a little bit and you have this little foot right here, if you don't like that, you can take your gloved hand and just kind of push it down. It personally doesn't bother me, but I know some people are just like, how do I get rid of the foot? All right, so our caramel is cooled down to like 184. So I'm just gonna heat it up just a little bit on the stove because it's too thick. All right, this is cooled down. Just for fun and to be extra, team extra, we're gonna make some Rocky Mountain factory style apples. I love the caramel with the red, pretty. Shake, 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 shake. And then I'm gonna sprinkle on some nuts. These are almonds. Oh no! Oh, it's not sticking! Okay, you gotta press them. There's no drizzling. I need to torch it. That went so fast. Okay, I'm gonna do a little chocolate drizzling. This is gonna be mine, okay? I worked really hard on this one. Woo, pretty! What would you guys put on your caramel apples? Do you like caramel, you like chocolate, you like marshmallows? There's like so many toppings that you can put on them. Let me know in the comments. All right, I'm just gonna pour the extra caramel into these little silicone molds, or you could just pour it straight onto a silicone mat, let it cool down, and then cut it into little cubes, and you have little individual caramels. You could add a little sprinkle of flaky salt on there, maybe some drizzles of chocolate. Did we just make our own homemade caramel candies? Yes, we did. There's a lot of things going on in this video. Okay, I'm gonna clean up and I'll be right back. So I actually thought you could store caramel apples at room temperature because it's like sugar and apples, like what needs to be refrigerated, but alas, they must be refrigerated to give them the optimal amount of time for freshness, says the internet. So airtight in a container for up to a week. sometimes even 2 weeks. Okay? Okay, this is gonna be my first time eating a homemade caramel apple, you guys. Oh my God. So much flavor. Wow, this is so good. Wow, you guys, that is hands down the best caramel I've ever had. Like, good job me. Seriously, so much flavor. It's like buttery, creamy. You can taste the vanilla. It's got that perfect chewy texture. And then you come in with that juicy tartness from the Granny Smith apple. Oh my, all I need is like a piece of cheese and a glass of wine and I will be set. So that's it. That's how you make an authentic caramel apple. Bet you didn't know it was so easy. If you want to see more fall recipes, check out these videos right here. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.